I'm going to kick off the event with a land acknowledgement, and I'm going to share my screen for that as well. I'm going to start with the BGIS Peace and Friendship Wampum Belt, and that's land acknowledgement I'm going to use today. And the reason I am using that today is because I am calling from the beautiful town of Noelville, Ontario, which is north, next to Doki's First Nation, and on the beautiful French River. And this piece, the Wampum Belt, you can see it behind me, was created by a very close family friend of ours, a young Indigenous artist named Connor Lafortune of Doki's. And it's inspired by the Wampum Belt and the four colors of the medicine wheel. And you see on the left and right, you see the two human beings figures with the 4-row wampum belt in between. And, you know, Connor is a two-spirited Indigenous youth. He's actually not a youth anymore. He's in his mid-20s now. When he did this, I think he was like 19. The wampum belt is about 5 years old and sits in our Markham office, and you can go and see it and just ask the reception where it is. I encourage you to go and look at it. You can open it and touch it if you want to. The 4 medicine colors represent diversity and friendship between ethnicities. So important during these times. So white for European, black for Africa, red for Indigenous, and yellow for Asian. And it's interesting when we talked about, you know, reconciliation, he wanted to include all the cultures of Canada. And, you know, working towards peace, reconciliation, friendship. And that was so important to him, representing from his perspective. You also see the sun on one side and the moon on the other. And this represents the dualities of our world, night and day, Western, Indigenous, traditional, modern, among others. So there's lots of information. And Connor, he does a lot of different artist. He's a poet. He works very hard on French integration into Indigenous communities in Northern Ontario. So that's just a great little land acknowledgement. It's not the traditional one that we may share, but I like to talk about our wampum belt. And if you're lucky enough, you may have received one of our friendship wampum belt bags, reusable bags. We give them out at events as well. So welcome everyone. And I am going to get Rosa to talk a little bit about this event. And over to Rosa.
Thank you, Julie, very, very much, and welcome everyone. And thanks for joining us. I guess, you know, on the heels of what we just heard from Julie, I think together today is about recognizing Indigenous History Month, and we want and we do this with a sense of respect and responsibility. And at BGIS, our commitment to reconciliation is really not just words, it's a journey of learning and reflection and meaningful action. And hosting sessions like this today is one way we support that commitment. It creates some space for all of us to be able to learn and listen and to be able to reflect on our own individual and then our collective roles within BGIS in advancing understanding and continued respect for our Indigenous communities and their cultures. So today, I think is a really wonderful opportunity for each of us to consider how we can continue our journey, both within the workplace and beyond the walls of our buildings and our workplace. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be here again and to have this important conversation.
I wanted Wade and Chris, who are on the phone with us. And just to give a quick intro from the Indigenous Engagement team, and then over to you, April. I hope that's okay.
That's perfect.
Wade.
Oh. Yeah, okay, so I'll start. Good afternoon, Wade Griffin, Sego. I'm Mohawk from Six Nations. I actually have the privilege of being able to work from home today for a change. I'm on the road a lot, so it's nice to be near community, and I'll be in community tomorrow afternoon. Program itself has evolved a lot over the term since I joined. I joined back in August of 2019, so coming up on 7 years, I guess. Wow. And just to see what's happened here is been quite incredible. We've done a lot of things internally. We've matured a fair bit. We got a long ways to go, but the fact that we have a number of student interns for our second year is evidence of how we're progressing. I believe, is this our sixth Indigenous History Month event? I know the first one was a little sparse, but each year we're getting bigger. So that much is really encouraging. And then in 2022, Chris and Vanessa joined the team. Chris is our manager for Western Canada, and Vanessa's the manager for Eastern Canada. So with that, I want to welcome you, and I'd like to turn things over to Chris and Mary. So good to have you here with us today.
Thanks, Wade. Hello, everyone. Mary, Rick, raise my hands. Thank you for joining us today. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks to everyone who's joined this meeting to learn a little bit more about the Indigenous world here in Canada. My name is Chris Hands. I'm Nuhawk from Bella Coola, British Columbia. My Nuhawk name is Sakwa, and since I joined BGIS, it's been there's like everything in life. There's been ups and downs, but when it's all said and done, there's a bunch of really good people, really great people that work with this organization who want to do what they can do to contribute towards reconciliation with Indigenous people in Canada. Some of the actions are quite small, but they all make a difference. And I personally, as a First Nations person, really appreciate people taking time out of their day to sit and talk. And when I think about Indigenous History Month, I mean, there's so much. This could be a perpetual 24/7 activity that we do 7 days a week. There's so much to learn. I think about where I'm from, Nuhawk Nation. Just going up the hill to Anaheim Lake. It's a different culture. They have different traditions, different language, etc. And it's really only about 50 miles away. So when we take a look at Canada and all the differences, I'm just so happy that we can celebrate and learn together. But I think what one thing I'd like to leave with folks is when I think about Indigenous History Month and Indigenous Peoples Day here in June, is resiliency and the fact that we're still here. Despite our histories, despite the struggles that we've had to overcome, and not only we're here, but we're thriving. And one thing I'll echo what Wade mentioned: we're thriving here within BGIS. Our Indigenous engagement or Indigenous relations program is reaching out more and more each day. And it's drawing in more and more non-Indigenous people into the work. So that's my long-winded way of saying hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Mary and Rick, welcome. And everyone, I hope you enjoy today's session.
Thank you. And over to April to introduce our special guest today.
Thank you, Julie. And it is an honor to introduce Marianne Kabiasi. Marianne is Bear Clan Anishinaabe Kwe from Wikwemekong unceded territory in Manitoula Island. She currently resides in Peterborough, Ontario, and she follows the traditional teachings passed down from her elders in her territory and the Meadowin Lodge. Marianne she's a passionate advocate for the water. She continues to do water walks throughout Ontario and I'm sure other places. And the teachings were brought down from Josephine Bamarwin. And yeah, so I think with that, just a little brief intro, I'll turn it over to Marianne. I feel it's best from her words. So I'm honored to, and thank you. I know she's an extremely busy woman. So for her to make time for us today is truly an honor. So thank you.
Miigwech, April, for connecting with me originally to come and speak with you. So I just want to reintroduce myself in my language, Anishinaabe. Bojo Nindawe Maganidag. Nodanikwe Indigenous Makwado Dem. Wikwem Kong Menado Menasing, Minwa Sagamak Donjaba. Ojibwe Anishinaabe Kwe, Minwa Niso Medewin Endao. Michisagi Anishinaabe King Megwa Andida, Warsaw Andayan, Ikanamagasit Endao. So what I just informed you of in English here is my name is Marianne Caballosi, but the spirits know me as Nodanikwe, which means wind spirit woman. I'm Anishinaabe from the territory of Wikwemkong and Sagamak, and not too far from French River. So I just wanted to, when I heard you say that, Julia, I just want to say that's where my grandmother and my mother stem from before they settled in Wikwemkong. My dad came from Chippewa. He was Chippewa from Newberry, Michigan. And, sometimes when we talk about relationship, which is what I'll share, is that we're not just from one place, our people. We didn't settle. We weren't on one place. We were nomadic. We followed the animals. And we made sure that those places where we stopped, we left them the way we found them. We left the land the way we found the land. And so I want to also share that. As April mentioned, I have the gift of walking with the water and the responsibility as an Anishinaabe woman. That's one of our original instructions as women, was because we create life, that is our responsibility, is to take care of the water, to hold her and love her and take care of her. And as a water walker, I just finished yesterday a 4-year commitment to the Credit River. We had a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. So that water walk is a ceremony. It's not just a walk. It's not a social activity. It's not a protest. It's not a statement. It's a period of time when we actually hold the water and we carry that copper vessel from the source to the mouth. This year we walked from the mouth at the big lake all the way up to the source where I poured the water back into the source. And that period of time was also an acknowledgement of those who walked ahead of us, and those who will walk ahead of us, and those who walked behind us, our ancestors. And that knowing about our ancestors is so important. When and that's what I've recently been sharing a lot in the work that I do. And for those who don't know, like April probably does not know, I'm a residential school survivor, and I was part of the 60 scoop. So I have a lot of knowledge and understanding about the work that you're doing, about reconciliation and truth. And so I've done a lot of that work in different communities. I hold space for ceremonies. In this evening, I'll be doing a virtual grief circle. I help people understand grief and loss. I'm also doing my PhD at Trent University. So I've got a lot of learning and lessons behind me. So when I talk about lessons and memories and the water, there's this knowledge that every one of us is made of 65% water. And each and every one of us that's on this team meeting, we're held in our mother's womb, in her water, for 9 months. And in that space of 9 months, we absorbed all of her teachings, all of her emotions, all of what she was going through, all of her memories, all of her life experiences that becomes embedded in us. And so we carry that. We carry her, and we carry her water from her grandmother, her mother, our grandmothers. So our ancestors, that's where we get our teachings. While I talk about my elders' teachings, I also understand I carry my ancestral teachings. I carry Josephine Ba Mondamen's teachings about the water walk. I carry the teachings about Lillian Ba Pitwanakwat, whose teachings I carry for the Sweat Lodge. I carry the teachings of the Medewan people who teach us about the medicines. And I mentioned that I'm Bear Clan, and that Makwa is the one who gave us the medicines. I'll say she, is the one who first explored the roots, the plants, and all of those beings under the water, in the water, and around the water. Those are our medicines. And our people in the Medewan Lodge, we honor that knowledge that she first gave to us. And so when I say the bear gave us our medicines, it's how Anishinaabe people learn. We're watching. We don't learn from books. We learn from our eyes, what we hear, what we feel, what we see, and what our spirit tells us. That's how we learn. And when April invited me to come, my spirit said yes. And often we don't listen to our spirit. We listen to other things, other people. And someone might say, no, you don't want to do that. You haven't got time. But this is part of what our spirit says. If you're sharing your teachings, if you're sharing your life experiences, you're educating people. Because our experiences are medicine. Our life journeys are medicine. And when I say that they're medicine, those teachings, our experiences, our memories, what we hold in ourselves, they teach us. And they're not always positive experiences. They're not always, beautiful and easy. Some of them, like in what our family experienced, was tragic. It was hard. And what I like to share with on this eagle feather is that this is like the journey of life, that line up the middle. And sometimes we fall off this line with our experiences. We might fall into alcohol. We might fall into drugs. We might fall into other ways that are not good for our spirits. And the teaching, when you hear that teaching that we're spirit beings on a physical walk, it lends itself to this teaching on the eagle feather, that our spirit is what guides us. When I said yes to April, my spirit said yes. And when we don't listen to our spirit, this is when we fall off. Because our spirit might say, I don't like alcohol. I don't want drugs. But sometimes we're led by this, our head. We're led by our ego and our minds, our thoughts, instead of our spirit. And sometimes we even forget about love, our emotions. And that's so important to remember. As we walked along the Credit River Saturday and Sunday, we all experienced a lot. And there was not just Anishinaabe people on that walk, there were settlers. Settlers joined us, men and women. And it's that collective walk that teaches everyone about water. And water comes in many forms. We know that. We walk through it. We walk through rain. And on other walks, we've walked through walls of water. There was a nice soft mist. We walked through fog. We walked through sometimes really cold weather. Sometimes it was a bit of that sleet. And those other forms of water are medicine too. You know, sometimes as human beings, we get caught up in the weather. Oh, I can't go there. I can't go because it's a blizzard, or I can't go there because there's going to be a big storm. And when we think about the water falling, when we think about the storms, people say, "Oh, I've just had so much. I just wish it would stop raining. I just wish it would just stop raining." And I always say, "Oh, thank God it's raining." Because the earth needs water. The land needs water. So many territories have drought, and we had significant hot weather last year, and it's going to happen again this year. And when the medicines are touched by that hot weather, they lose their capacity, just like we do as humans. When we get thirsty, when we don't nurture ourselves with water, we sometimes lose our capacity. We wonder, why am I so tired? Why do I just feel so drowsy? And you think, geez, I haven't had any water today. I haven't nourished myself. I haven't fed myself. And then when we have that sip, our body says, thank you. Thank you. I need water. And so too does the land. And as we walked through a little bit of chaos on Saturday, we had no idea there was a huge bicycle race in Brampton. Who would have thought? There were like thousands of bicyclists out, and we had to compete with that space where we were walking. And it was just chaos. It was wild, to be honest. And there were some words that came out of my mouth that I needed to smudge after. It was just, what the F? Like the bicyclists were weaving across the roads, and we were trying to make sure that we were safe. And so for those who don't know what the water walk involves, the women are holding the pail, a copper vessel that I dipped into the mouth, and that water is what we pray to, send our positive thoughts to, our good heart, good mind, and positive energy. And the men that walk with us, they carry the eagle staff. They're allowed to look around. They're our protectors. And sometimes, like we talked about that during the walk, sometimes the men have forgotten how to be protectors. We hear that in the news. We see what happens. We hear about what happens. And so when we do that walk, the men that walk with us are reminded of that responsibility. Our women are responsible for creating life, for carrying the water. The men are responsible for making sure that we are safe. And therefore the water is safe. Us women carrying the pail, we're told to look straight ahead. That was one of the protocols Josephine Baugh shared. Look straight ahead when you're carrying the pail. Don't get distracted, as we often do in our life. All these distractions come to us. And then we forget our purpose in life with all these distractions, all of the social media, all of the drama, all of the chaos. She said, focus, look straight ahead. Because the lesson about looking straight ahead with a pail of water, she said, is we don't want the water to stop. We want the water to continue to flow. And there's that word in our language, Gagi Gejowan Nibe, forever flowing water. We want that water to continue to flow. Because when she stops, then we stop. Because water is life. And without water, we wouldn't be here. Without water, all of our relatives on the land would not be nurtured. And by relatives, I'm talking about the winged ones, the eagles. We saw eagle, we saw osprey, we saw hawks. We heard the robins, we heard the blue jays, the cardinals, the red-winged blackbird. We heard all of those winged ones, and we saw them. We also heard the bees, the crickets, the toads, the frogs. As we stepped out in the early morning, those beings need water. And we talked and we honored the muskrat, the beaver, the ermine, all of those animals, those four-legged that swim in the water, the turtles, the snakes, all of those beings need water. We saw four-legged, we saw a skunk, we saw a fox, we saw wolf, we saw deer, we saw all of those beings on four legs. They have their teachings, and they need water. All of creation needs water. We saw all the medicines, the pine trees, the cedars, the spruce trees, the maples, the elm trees, the birch trees, the poplar trees. All of those need water. And all of those ones, they hold the nests for the winged ones. We saw a robin pulling a worm from the earth, and that worm needs water. Without that water, the worm would not live and feed the robin. And the robin feeds us with her song. Everything is connected, and we forget that. And the one teaching is that we have become very disconnected from creation. We're connected to our screens. We're connected to our telephones. You know, as we were walking through Brampton, through the city, we passed everyone and they were walking on the sidewalks with their phones. It's like, how can you even see where you're going? You know, they're glued to the phone. And do they hear? Do they hear the danger of someone honking their horns at them? Do they hear the birds singing? Do they hear creation? And in the teaching that I've learned through my life, as a little girl, I was always walking. I was always in the bush, looking at the plants, and I was in heaven then. And you know, as we journeyed home yesterday, I was very thankful for being a passenger. I was allowed to see everything. And I was held before that in the place where there was a lot of trees around after we finished our walk. So this is how it goes. We start walking in the morning and we finish in the afternoon. And we offer prayers, songs, and teachings. And so here's what I want you to think about. And there's a lot that you can think about. You know, sometimes I can go on and I don't even know what time it is and how much time I have left. But Josephine Mondom, she's passed now. But one of the teachings that always stays with me, and I want to ask you, have you ever been sick? Who here has ever been sick? Where you can't even get out of bed. You can't even move. And you just want to stay in bed. You just want to, your body's aching, or your mind is aching, your soul is aching. You just want to stay there. But how does it feel when someone comes up to you and your family member says, "Can I get you some water? Can I get you some juice? Can I get you some tea? Would you like a hug?" Or they ask you, "How are you? Are you okay?" And how does that feel when you get that? When you get that acknowledgement, when you get that hug, when you get that beautiful, beautiful nibe water, or when you get what you need, you feel loved, don't you? You feel loved, cared for, tended to, heard. She said that's what the water feels like. She needs to be heard. She needs to be acknowledged. She needs our songs. She needs our prayers. She's hurting. She's sick. And when we offer our water ceremonies, when we're doing our water walks, that's what we're doing. We're singing to her, lifting her up, praying, putting our good thoughts. We're acknowledging her. We tell her we love her, we honor her, we respect her. And that's the teaching that I always hold. And there's that other one that I said, we're made of 65% water. And Dr. Emoto, a Japanese researcher, talked about the relationship between negativity, positivity, and water. And that experiment that he did with the water was he had these glasses of water, and one glass, or the different glasses, maybe 4 glasses of water, he put negative words on them: ugly, stupid, unworthy, evil. And the other glasses of water, he puts beautiful, kind, gentle, smart, positive words. And over a period of time, he looked at those other glasses of water with a negative words on them. They became dark and murky. But the other ones, when he looked under the microscope at the cells, cellular structure, they were like diamonds. They were like beautiful crystal. And so when we think about how do we use our words, are we kind? Are we gentle? Are we loving? And that applies to the way we think. How do you think about yourself? How does April think? How does Julie think? How does Rick think? How do all of you, Rosa? I can only see a few of you here. Natasha, how do you think about yourself? And if you think negatively, think about that teaching, what your water is going to feel like: murky, dark, sad, probably. But if you think kindly about yourself, loving to yourself, you'll be just like a crystal. You'll have prisms all over the place, like jewels, like gems. And so when you think about yourself like that, with love and kindness, you'll feel it. Boy, am I ever amazing. I am so intelligent, I can't even believe it. Like I'm doing a PhD. I'm amazing. When not so long ago, I was told, you're not that smart. You're not that smart. Native people are so stupid. Your people are not very smart. You don't know what you're doing. You're evil. Your ceremonies are witchcraft. That's what we heard when we were kids. And they always say in our teachings, when you do the stages of life teachings, when I share those, They say that the ages 0 to 7, those formative years, what you see, what you hear, and what you feel, that's your normal. That's your normal. And so if you see and hear the negative, that's what you believe. That's the normal way of things. And so when we try to understand through what you're doing here, how Anishinaabe feel, Indigenous people, Inuit, Métis people, you have to remember what they were told as children by the system, by the nuns in residential school, by the legal system, by the government system. This is how you are. And it was deliberate. You know, there was a deliberate form of genocide and harm. Our waters were hurting. But now we're starting to heal. We are starting to heal. That water ceremony is only one. We have our sweat lodges. We have our sharing circles. Tonight I'm leading grief circles. Our people are learning to heal, and we're doing it for each other. We are helping each other. And this, I'm really grateful that you're doing this work. You know, what you're doing with your organization. It's informing, and you're helping our people to share our stories through our voices, not through the literature, but through our spirit, our hearts, our minds. And like I said, we're medicine. And I tell people that, you know, sometimes I share that some people haven't healed. Some people are still like on these side trips. A lot of communities are in addictions. There's a lot of trauma. But it will take many years. There's one elder, Onabanese, also known as Jim Dumont. He talked about that in some of his teachings of how it will take 7 generations for us to heal from residential school. And I'm the first generation. And I'm 70. So think about the years, the generation, the children, the grandchildren from the time that I was there. They're still hurting. They're still, this is like this, I think there's 2 generations that have passed, maybe 3. So there's still 4 more. And then I said, I wonder how in my musings, which I have a lot of wonderings, I wonder how the others felt when they did the damage. I wonder how the nuns felt when they did that. And those who were in power, I wonder how their spirits feel. I wonder how their water feels. And how many generations will it take for them to heal? Because it goes both ways. You talked about like the wampum, you know, and so there's one on each side. It's not just us that are hurting. It's also the others, those who did the harm. How does their water feel? And so when we think about that reconciliation, you know, I've done work with other groups. Speaking the truth is not easy for our people. It's hard when our voices were cut off, when we were told things and we couldn't speak. And it's also hard to hear it. It's also hard to hear the truth. And so that's what I call truth telling. And it's uncomfortable. The Unsettled Settler. I think I can't remember who wrote that book, but it's a really good book. It talks about the unsettled settler. I think there was a part that captured my attention when they were talking about the land, because it's really all about the land. It's about the land being taken. It's about how beautiful that land was when those who put their boats on the shorelines first came. It was beautiful, lush, beautiful, clean, sparkling, clean water, dense woodlands, animals, fish were full. Everyone had a purpose. Everyone was working. All of the nations here had their responsibilities. Some of them were medicine people. Some were the hunters. Some were the ones who harvested medicine. Some were the teachers. Some were medicine harvesters. The children had their responsibilities. There was no, I remember a man speaking, he said, there was no depression. There was no unemployment. There was none of that, no pollution. Now everything has changed. Everything has changed. So when we think about that, and I've walked a good long life, and like I said, I just turned 70, but I don't feel it. I feel like I've still got a lot of energy. But at some point, on the medicine wheel, those 4 stages of life, the childhood, youth, adults, and elders, we all have our stories. And all of you have your stories. And depending where you are on the medicine wheel, when we look back and we can peel off all of the negative things that happened to us, put them aside. Like we have our ways of doing that. Talking is one of them. Allowing our voices to be heard is huge. And maybe some of you have felt that, where you felt unheard, when your words didn't feel important, or you were left feeling unworthy. It's important to know that you are. Everyone who is in creation is valuable, because we all were put here for a purpose. When I introduced myself with my name and my clan, Nodinique, my elder who gave that to me said, learn to know what your name means. All of you have names. What does your name mean? Some of you probably have a clan. I know a lot of the Scottish people have clans. The German people have clans. What does your clan mean? Because your clan tells you your purpose. It's significant. And when I think about Makwa, my clan, the bear is the healer. The bear is the helper. The bear is the protector. And right now, as I've turned this other decade and look back, I see that I've done my work. I'm fulfilling my clan responsibilities. And Nodinique, wind spirit woman, what does the wind do? The wind creates change. The wind turns things around. Sometimes those ferocious winds change everything. They lift homes off their stilts, or they turn things over. It's powerful. The wind is powerful. The land is powerful. My clan is powerful. Healing, helping. No matter how small you might think your role is, make sure that you lift it up, because everyone has a spirit. and everyone has that spirit that gives life, that purpose that you have. It's magic. And sometimes people tell me, I don't feel I can do anything. I don't know anything. I said, you're carrying you were born in your mother's water. You carry a lot. You just haven't thought about it enough or acknowledged it enough. And those are really important teachings. So I want to share those with you. I'm not sure how much time I have left, April.
Thank you, Marianne. I was on my heart. So much you said resonated so deep. And as you spoke about the water and when you talk good to your waters and badly to the waters and how it shows up, the thunder beings showed up here. And we are having torrential rain at the moment.
Lucky you.
Yeah. So, wow. Wow. Thank you, Miigwech. And I received my spirit name in a dream, Gazimayan Gun. So I am the Sun Wolf.
Nice.
So, yes. So
Yeah,
I just wanted to share.
Yeah, before I wanted to, what you said, the thunder beings.
Yes.
I was just out in Manitoba for our ceremonies, and we were in my little helper. He was in a tent, and I was nestled in a minivan with a moonroof. So I felt like we were in the eye of the tornado. There were 2 tornado watches right where we were.
Wow.
And I walked out with a whole bag of tobacco.
Mm.
And I poured tobacco all over that site in our lodge, because tobacco is medicine. It's a protector. And as the protector, I had to do that. Offered prayers, asked for safety to make sure we were protected. And that tornado was wild. I mean, we weren't in it, but it was right there. The sky was black. We heard the silence. Everything went silent. And then we had the deluge and the jagged lightning, the flashes. The teaching about the thunder beings is that it cleans everything. Thunder and lightning is a cleanser. It cleans all the medicines. It cleans all the air. So you can harvest medicine after a thunderstorm. Thunder and lightning. There's something in lightning. And so there's many teachings about the thunder beings, but they always come with the water. Now they're coming more frequently, which is a good thing. We need those thunderstorms. The land needs it. Human beings, like we're always like, I just want this, I want that. We're like always wanting stuff. I want the sun. I want more sun. Then when it gets too hot, we're going, oh, I want to go sit in the shade. We're always wanting one thing or another. But we have no control. Like we have no control. We can fly down to Florida. We can fly down somewhere else. But in the end, right? Creator is the one who has control.
Yes.
We can only control how we respond. Our thoughts. Yeah. Our thoughts, our ways, our actions. That's what we control. And so if we respond with a good heart, a positive mind, love, kindness, things work out so much better.
And so many great lessons, Marianne. I wanted to thank you. I think, even for me, as a person who, when you get older, you need inspiration. So this was extremely inspirational to me. And I wanted to say thank you very much for your time. It was wonderful. I'm getting a lot of comments on the chat. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I want to wrap up with Kyrell Three Sons. And he is one of our interns. And you talked about that generation. And I want to say, you mentioned something about how we can all make a difference. And I want everyone to think about Indigenous recruitment. Kyrell, we met at a Treaty 7 recruitment fair. And he's going to introduce himself. So Kyrell, I hope your camera is working. And I want you to wrap up and talk a little bit about yourself in your Indigenous language. We want to hear the beautiful words. And Kyrell is going to end this hour of learning for us. And I wanted to say thank you so much, Mary. Like, I can't give you enough thanks, and April as well. But I'm going to hand it over to Kyrell at this point.
Aki ni stu ni taniku na doh kitopi, nimtu tu bigani siksika. Hello, my name is Kyrell Three Sons. I'm from the Bigani Reserve, located on Blackfoot traditional territory. Nistoakok na doh kitopi. My Blackfoot name is Rides with the Sun, or Rides with the Spirits. And I'm just here to speak just very briefly. I don't think I'll be, hopefully not too long, but my name's Kyrell Three Sons. I've been working with the Bigani community for about 5 years now. I was a field tech. Well, I first started off as a summer student, then I went to be a research assistant, then I was a field technician. And so a lot of what I learned was being out on the land, being with elders, learning the teachings, learning ceremony, learning protocol. But yeah, we worked with various people, various different groups, and we kind of just like learned how to better understand one another so that we can work together more coherently, more efficiently, learning how to properly go over what the project is about, because a lot of times it's one-sided, and so we want to really be 50-50 on the table and make sure that the work that we're doing is it's an equal playing field for everyone. And for a while it hasn't been like that, and so that's a lot of what the community has been doing. So when it comes to like projects, we'll go out and we'll just kind of document stuff that's important to the Blackfoot. And then if it's really major, the project may not go through because of stuff such as like ceremony or something that may be of significance on that part of the land. So that was kind of some of the stuff that I've done with community. A lot of it was through documentation. So we do it digitally. We also do it the traditional way as well. So a lot of elders will come in and speak, and that's how we'll get a lot of our knowledge from our community members. And yeah, I'm also in my going into my 3rd year of environmental science for a bachelor's at the University of Lethbridge. And yeah, that's basically me in a nutshell. I've recently got my first, my second Blackfoot name. I've gotten one before, but it wasn't officially through ceremony. So this one was through one of our elders, and it was very honored to just have him speak and pass down his knowledge to me, and hopefully I can represent the people in a good way going forward. Yeah.
Thank you. And, Marianne talked about, all the different generations. Kyrell is one of our younger generations. He is working on our sustainability and environmental team with Paul and Colin. And, it's interesting. We hire interns every year. We met him at Treaty 7. It was the first time we had attended that Treaty 7 recruitment fair, and it was great. Again, thank you very much, Kyrell. You always, you spent quite a bit of time explaining to me what you do in community and your environmental work within community. It's so important. And it has such a water-related experience. So we thought it would be great fit for you and Marianne to speak together. And for Indigenous History Month, it's about learning. I know we often try to tie environmental and Indigenous teachings, especially with our clients. But again, thank you, everyone. Just a quick update. Next week, I know Rosalina is here as well. She is hosting an Indigenous procurement event. And Rosalina, I don't know if you want to share on the chat the link to the event or if we can share that later, but I did see that and we are looking forward to, well, I'm looking forward to attending that event, Rosalina. So again, everyone, thank you. Any wrap-up words, Chris? April, Rosa?
Just thank you so much for everybody's words, thoughts, and feelings. It's greatly appreciated. And again, thank you very much, Marianne.
Everybody to make a difference. Think about hiring an Indigenous person, hire an Indigenous intern, hire an Indigenous vendor. Through economic reconciliation, we can make a difference. Okay, so everybody has to play their part, and that's what we're asking you to do. Rosa, anything else?
No, I just want to thank Marianne again. It was very inspirational and very soothing, I will say. It was it's nice to really understand the sort of positive energy that has come through. So I want to thank you for that.
Miigwech. It was an honor to be here. Thank you all. for the invite.
Miigwech and Marianne, you're exactly what I needed today.
Awesome. Thank you.
Miigwech, thank you, everyone.